Hey everyone, this is Sherry, and you are tuned into She Said What She Said, the podcast where I interview badass women in the sports world and beyond. Welcome back to my regular listeners. I cannot speak today. Hello to my new people. The nice part about this one is, every week I have a new person, so we might get new listeners that just want to hear about that awesome person, and that is completely fine with me. Only me today. I don't have a co-host. It was supposed to be Snacks, but she lost her voice. And for those of you that know her, it is very funny when she loses her voice because she is normally very loud, very outside voice. And when she loses her voice, it's like a little squeak thing. So it is just me today and my phenomenal guest, but that is just fine. It's been a little bit of a rough week for me personally. For those of you that know me, I do some Spartan racing, obstacle course races, and I've been training at a ninja gym, learning from some of those American Ninja Warrior people how to do those obstacles. And for you Chicago people, if you saw the news a couple nights ago about that really big fire in Albany Park, that was my gym. My beloved ninja gym burned to the ground. It's really sad. I cried a little bit, not just for the actual gym, it is a nice structure and everything, but just for the blood, the sweat, the tears that the owner, the managers put into it. The community that's been around it, the ninja community, is a really strong one. And terrible timing. We're about 4 weeks out from the city qualifiers of American Ninja Warrior. The general manager at that gym will be on it this season, along with some other people there. So not what you want to do 1 month before you're going onto a big show is to have your gym burned down. However, we do have some other locations, and I know that they will be training hard. So shout out to my ninja community. But for tonight, I have a new sport represented tonight, and I told her I really hope I don't ask too many dumb questions because I kind of have some questions about volleyball because I tried to play in middle school. It hurt my delicate lady fingers. It just wasn't for me. I felt like every time I hit a ball, something popped, something got swollen. I don't understand how hands can do that. So I have a lot of questions. I love to watch volleyball. As you guys know, went to Penn State, one of the best volleyball schools in the country. But it just wasn't the sport for me. It doesn't help that I'm 5'4". But our guest tonight, she is the newly appointed head volleyball coach at University of Texas, San Antonio, the San Antonio Roadrunners. And we now have waiting for her to get a drink of water, Miss Carol Torok. How are you?
Great. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. So you're a road runner now.
I am. Birds up, man. Birds up.
I got to tell you, as a former track runner, that is the coolest mascot ever.
I used to love some Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner when I was growing up too. Looney Tunes.
Oh, yeah. When I was looking, I was like, wait, it's a road runner? Like, I'm thinking especially oh man, like your cross country team, like running around with a road runner. That is so cool.
Yeah, it's definitely fun and unique. I love that about it. A little quirky, and people kind of don't get it, but it's souped up. You see it back there. It looks a little bit meaner than that, cartoon Roadrunner back in the day.
Yeah, it's fun to have something that's not just a lion, a tiger, or a bear, right?
For sure.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're the predator or the prey, but it's definitely nice to have something a little bit more unique.
I agree.
So welcome here, and welcome back to Texas. So you just took over this position back in, what was that, December?
December, yeah. I've been, maybe 2 months officially. I've been down here for a month. I hit the ground running, got to start training and, be here with the squad, which is, one of the funnest things about taking over at this time of year is you get a whole spring season to train and be in the gym with the girls.
Absolutely. And you have a new coaching staff as well. So do you, as a head coach, hand select the coaching staff
Yeah, I'm pretty fortunate at both the stops. Being a head coach, I was able to hire staff that complemented me and the things that I was looking for in a gym. I have a fellow Penn State alum in Dominique Gonzalez. She's now Dominique Tomlin. She was a libero there, won a few national championships. She's a San Antonio native, so super excited to have her back on staff. I coached her when I was here my first stint when she was in high school. And then have another Big Ten powerhouse, Ryan Vorderer, our other assistant coming from Nebraska.
Yes.
He's a Chicago native as well, south side of Chicago.
Nice.
But spent his last 2 years at Nebraska, powerhouse there. So really, really excited to have them in the gym with all that they bring to the table, training and playing wise, and being in those big situations.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's got to be. How is it as a coach going into a new program, like learning players? Obviously, they're not people that you recruited yourself. And so now you're jumping into kind of head first into like a new recruiting season. What are your first steps really for taking over?
I think the biggest thing is re-recruiting the players in the gym. I really actually feel like you have to do that on a continual basis. You're always bringing new players in, different styles, different ways. You want the players in the gym to feel unique. You want the players in the gym to feel value. So I think it's a constant evolving relationship with you and each player that you have. And, right now, all of them are new and we're trying to recruit and do all of those things. So it's exciting. It's a little bit, a lot to keep up with, learning personalities and, different learning styles and things like that. They're learning my personality and my learning style. So I think it's a constant thing, but for me, it's like having one big, huge family. You just got to put in the work and build those relationships and, let them grow from there.
Absolutely. And I love what you said about re-recruiting the players that are there. After my sophomore year at Penn State, my coach left. And so they brought in someone new. And I tell you, if I was like, well, I'm leaving, I don't want someone new. You get that kind of thing. You're happy with a coach. You don't want someone new. Our new coach was pretty inexperienced. It was his first head coaching job. And I was like, well, I'm not going to like him. But I spoke to him on the phone, and maybe after 30, 40 minutes, I was like, well, I love him. So I'm staying. And, since then he's won a ton of actually NCAA assistant coach of the years. He's down in Arkansas now, and he'll be taking over that program, which wins a lot of national championships for women. So every great coach starts somewhere, but as you said, it wasn't his pedigree. It was that personality. And man, I tell you, I was like, I am ready. I'm out this door. I don't want to be here in central Pennsylvania. I'm going, I don't know where I was going.
Yeah.
I think it was part temper tantrum, part just didn't want to change.
I will say it's tough. I think nowadays too, the landscape of college coaching, every sport, not just the big dogs, all the Olympic sports, they're asking for success and, they're demanding success, really, to be honest with you. So you got to figure out what that looks like for you, but you're not going to have success if the team doesn't back you. So, creating those relationships and, when we're demanding from our players, if they know where we're coming from and who we are, it makes it easier for them to give that and to really buy into some of those things. So, nowadays, that's what it is. And, that re-recruitment, if you will, just letting them understand like, hey, this is your path. This is your plan. Our vision for you is still the same. Keep putting in the work. And at the end of the day, it's competition. You got to compete. The day out, you got to compete. So, it's not that I'm out recruiting you. It's that, hey, the gym's getting more competitive and you got to step up and bring it every day. You got to practice what you want to play like, so if we're practicing,
absolutely.
like, I don't know, I'll just show up at game time, then we're not putting ourselves in those positions, to be successful in game time. So, but it's that clear path, that clear vision, and just open communication. So.
And how has it felt from your job as a coach, since we now don't have the NCAA transfer rules that we used to have back in our playing days? Is that more stressful for you? Does it open more doors for you? Or is it just something you just deal with?
I think it's something you just learn to deal with. The recruiting rules are ever evolving. All the rules are ever evolving, if you will. And, you can sit and be salty about it, or you can make the best of it. So that re-recruitment, that making players understand what their plan is, and being super transparent with them is important. Otherwise, they can just jump on the portal and go somewhere else. And huge shift of coaches this year for volleyball specifically. So we saw a ton of kids in the transfer portal, a lot going within conference, which is super different. It takes a little bit away from me as a player. Thinking about when I was a player, I would have never gone to a school in our conference. I just wouldn't have done it, but now it's the norm. Now, now people are doing it, and, they want opportunities, and, so you just have to kind of roll with it and figure out a way to, keep your kids in your gym, and then go from there.
Yeah. I mean, the Penn State coach retired after, what was it, 43 years?
Forever.
Yeah, our entire lifetime. Yeah, it's so that was definitely, I mean, obviously that was the biggest headline as far as coaches moving, but it does seem to be in a lot of sports a ton of movement. And as a player, I crave stability, obviously. And I had 3 coaches. I had the coach that recruited me, which I wasn't too upset that she left, because I didn't buy into her. Kind of Penn State was kind of my backup. Some other things happened, so I kind of ended up there because one of my old teammates was there. And then I had my first coach that I thought was the best coach ever, and I would not like anyone but him. Then I had my second one that turned into my new favorite coach. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard as a player because you're committing to a school, you're committing to a coach. You want that coach to be there for 4 years, but for a lot of us, that doesn't always happen.
Yeah, and I think you hear a lot of time in recruiting, they're like, don't commit for the coach, they could move. And that you have to. I mean, in a sense, that's part of your decision making. That's a part of why you're going to that school. You're going to be spending a lot of time with these coaches and the staff. They're going to be demanding things from you. They're going to be your support system a lot of times, because not everyone has immediate family right in the area where they go to school. So that's easier said than done. And, I feel like if you're doing your job as a coach, you're creating those relationships where those kids don't want to leave. And they want to play for you. They want to play hard for you. So I do think it's tough. And I think I try to look at it a little bit from a business side of things. When you get out in the real world, you're going to be working with someone, and they're going to get a better opportunity, and they're going to get to go to another firm or another company. And, you're going to be a great teacher, and then they want you to step up into a leadership role, and you're going to go into administration. So people are constantly evolving, and you're just having to try to figure out how to deal with that adversity. Be honest, be super transparent. I think I found that's the best way for me. As a player, I wanted that. I craved that transparency. Like, I want to know why I'm not playing. I want to know why I'm on the bench. At least if I know and I can control that, I'm going to figure out a way, to have a solution. I think that's tough these days with the transfer portal, because I don't like what you said, I'm just going to go in the portal.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously I can't stop that, but this is what's best for not only you, but the whole entire program. We're not an individual sport, we're a team sport, and only 6 kids can play at a time. So you got to figure that out. You got to keep evolving players. But I think transparency just always wins out for me.
And, for the players too, some people will be brokenhearted when they enter the transfer portal and realize that their stock isn't as high as they thought it would have been.
Yeah, and I think that's why you really got to take a hard look. Like, is it me? Is it the coach? Is it the situation? And some people answer the transfer portal. I just found my passion is nursing, and we don't have a nursing program.
Absolutely.
I have to go somewhere for nursing, because I'm not going to be a volleyball coach. I'm not going to be a professional volleyball player. So some of those ones you kind of get a little bit, and the coaches are most of the time more than happy to help.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they answer the transfer portal because they have looked in the mirror and like, hey, coach is saying I'm 4 out of 4. I'm not really going to play. I'm going to have to go somewhere, where they need me, and I'm going to play. But yeah, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And I think, if you have a good structure and support system, hopefully you know that, and you've really thought about going into the portal, because it is definitely a little bit of like the wild, wild west. Like, you just don't know what's going to come up, and who's going to want you, who's not going to want you, who's going to have money, who's not going to have money. We're a head count sport, so it's a little bit different. Everyone wants money, but we can only give either a full athletic scholarship or no athletic scholarship. So
you don't do partials.
Not if you're fully funded in Division I volleyball. You get 12 full scholarships, and we can't break those up. If you weren't fully funded, you could break it up a little bit, and some of the other others can break it up D2. Obviously D3 is no scholarship. So yeah, and that's hard. You gotta account for what you need right now. You gotta account for what you need in the future. It's this big grid and puzzle of trying to make sure you're not over offering or don't have all of a sudden you don't have any setters or whatever it may be.
Yeah, because I mean, and you also don't necessarily want to take someone that only has 1 or 2 years left of eligibility when
with COVID now, that's the hard thing because the NCAA gave everyone an extra year, so everyone wants to take a grad year and start grad school. Or maybe they didn't play their freshman or sophomore year, and now they're really starting to come into it, and they want to keep playing. I would go back to college in a second if they gave me another year. So I mean, I would do it if I could too. And it helps in situations when coaches are transitioning and things like that. I think it can get kind of choppy if you're bringing in a kid for 1 year. It's hard to really kind of build that rapport with the team, but it definitely can help as a little bit of a bridge right now when you're taking over a program and things like that. But
sure,
it's a little tricky for sure.
So you would play more if you had the chance?
In a heartbeat. I mean, I wish I would have taken care of my body better. I wish I would have listened to my coaches better. I wish the pro leagues over in Europe were bigger when I played. I mean, I would play for sure. I mean, I don't know about the school part, but the playing part I would do again.
Yeah. I have a reoccurring nightmare. So I graduated 16 years ago from college in 2006. I literally would have this reoccurring nightmare that my coach told me that I had to run for a 5th year. I just didn't want to anymore. I was like, no.
My same dream is I'm late for my strength and conditioning coach. My strength and conditioning coach was tough. And so anytime I'm late, I look in the back of my mind, it's like, Bryce, that's the next 15 minutes, whatever it may be. Like that's what reigns true in my mind. And he was phenomenal, but we were all scared of her.
I had a great strength and conditioning coach. I saw him. He came to Ann Arbor a few years ago for the Penn State Michigan game. I'm from Ann Arbor, so I got a tailgate with him and everything. It's, man, again, that lifestyle of going to different schools and this and that, and I don't know how you guys do it. But let's talk about you as a player, because you were a big time player yourself.
I started out in Fenton, Michigan, right down.
Really, you're from Fenton?
That's right.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I was really lucky. I obviously, you can't teach height. My parents were super athletic. I wanted to be like my older sister. She played volleyball, so I played volleyball.
Oh, okay.
But when I was in high school, Michigan wasn't compliant with Title IX, so we actually played women's basketball in the fall, and volleyball in the winter. So I was a big basketball player, and I love basketball. I still love basketball, and I was just hell-bent on going to play basketball in college. And then kind of in my high school time found a club in Port Huron, Michigan. And that was kind of all she wrote. I got invested in that and was fortunate enough to go to tournaments where coaches saw me and what that ability looks like, and got to check out a whole bunch of different options, U of M being one of them, and just got to go on an official visit. We actually did official visits, when I was getting recruited, and got to meet teammates and people who I was going to be playing with, and, wound up at Texas A&M. Felt like I wish I would have grown up in Texas my whole life. It just felt like home. It just felt like who I was.
I actually thought you were from Texas because I saw you went to A&M. So I was like, oh, she's going back to Texas.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were from Michigan, right? You're right up 23. Yeah. No, it's not 23. It's
right up 23.
It is 23. Yeah.
Yeah.
No way. And I have to ask.
Yeah, that's funny. I was fortunate. I mean, I just was lucky. My parents carted me around everywhere and got me to where I needed to get to.
Yeah, because volleyball, for a track, it's like you're fast or you're not fast. Yeah. Volleyball is one of those sports where, there's just so many tangibles as a player for you first getting recruited.
Yeah.
You have how tall are you?
I'm 6'2". Which is not very tall these days.
It's not. It isn't. You watch the Olympics and they're all.
I would be a guard in basketball in college these days, I feel like. And
you would. But you have your basic, obviously I'm 5'4", so they'd be like, that's not going to work. But you have their basic stats, but when you were, so back in our day, we didn't have the cell phone video, you had to do the VHS and the editing and what steps as a kind of more of a skill sport did you take when you were getting recruited?
Quite honestly, I mean, we could not. I had to raise money to play club, and I had to kind of beg, borrow, and steal, if you will. And my parents were like, "Hey, if we want to get this done, these are the things that you girls need to do to help make it happen," because there was a lot of money back then for our family. My mom was a teacher, my dad was a counselor for the state of Michigan, and we did not go without. And I'm super grateful for that. But we had to drive an hour and a half each way to club practice, and obviously it was expensive. So I actually just had to rely on my play. And recruiting happened later. Like recruiting didn't happen till like the end of your junior year, your senior year. And then you went on like visits and then you picked a school and you were going there the next year. So for me, fortunately, recruiting happened later because I was new to volleyball. You know, I wasn't serious about volleyball until like 8th grade. So I got to develop a little bit, and I got to develop as an athlete, I think. So for me, I loved basketball because, you know, you could kind of, you know, you could push, shove, and do all those things. And so, you know, I'm an aggressor, if you will. I'm a dominant personality where I want to just go get after it. And so I think basketball was the reason why I was so great at volleyball. It helped me be aggressive on the court. You know, I just had that next level. You know, when someone's pushing you around in basketball, you can kind of get pissed off and get after it. You know, I could carry that over to volleyball. So I just had that intangible, I think, on the court that was maybe a little bit different, a little bit edgy compared to some volleyball players that are specific volleyball players kind of growing up. I hate to say it, but I was that player that was going to look through the net and be like, do you have something to say? Like, do you? I'm hoping you do. I'm hoping you do. Like, because it just I just could feed off of that stuff. So fortunately, my play just got me through going to tournaments. My club coach, who's now a JUCO coach at you know, he called people, you got to look at this kid. You got to look at this kid. You know, we had a really, really good club team. I think 8 out of the 11 of us played collegiately in one form or the other. So, I mean, we just had a really great team, really special team. And I was fortunate enough to be a part of it and get seen and able to, you know, go to all kind of different areas and see what I wanted to do, and just kind of fell in love when I stepped on campus at Texas A&M.
Nice. And my buddy Frank was just saying hi. Hey, Frank. Yeah, you know, I actually had a club teammate from Fenton. She was had, you know, set all of Fenton's high school records, etc. And they loved our club program in Ann Arbor so much. Her parents actually moved to our district for her junior and senior year in high school, and she ended up going to Illinois State. I had quite a successful career there.
What was her last name?
Mosier.
Oh,
Andrea Mosier.
Andrea Mosier. She lived in a neighborhood across the street from us.
Stop it.
Ah! So funny. She was in my younger sister's grade.
Yeah.
Her brother Nate was in my grade, her older brother.
Oh man, I'll definitely have to make sure she knows.
I didn't know she went to Illinois State. That's crazy.
Yeah. She actually came on the Penn State visit with me. We both went to a visit at Penn State. I don't think they were able to offer her a full scholarship. Like I have partial, and so yeah, she kind of, you know, went to money talks, man, and can't be mad at that. And so yeah, she ended up going. She was a Redbird down at Illinois State, and I think hilarious. She won some conference titles down there. 400-meter hurdles. Yeah,
they have a good athletic program there. That was our kind of conference rival the last few years when I was at graduate.
Yeah. Small world.
It is a small world.
Because without her, I would not know where Fenton was. I'd be like, all right, show me on the hand.
It was literally 25 minutes from you.
I know. It's just right up the street. And so you had a very good career at Texas A&M. So not only was it a great fit for you personality-wise, you were a second team all conference. What was it? Player of the week twice, I believe. These were some of your accolades that you won there.
I was very fortunate again to be a part of a really, really special team. My coaches, John and Lori Corbelli, were there for 27 years or something. I mean, the tradition of the program was one of the reasons why I loved it so much. But we had really, really great teams. I got to go to the NCAA tournament 4 times, made deep runs in the NCAA tournament, and got to play in some really, really big matches, and just really I mean, talk about adversity. I was going from Fenton, Michigan, which you from Fenton and didn't really know where it was, to, at the time we were in the Big 12, and I was just this, I'm 6'2". I was this great volleyball player. Everyone recruited me. You go through all this stuff, and you're like, yeah, I'm great, and I get there, and they're like, yeah, you're not starting, and you're not going to play until your junior year. And I was like, what is going on here? And you have to re-identify, like you have to figure it out. You have to, what does it take at this level? Volleyball every day, the strength and conditioning. I had never lifted weights or done any of those things.
Oh, really? Okay.
Going to school with 40,000 people, and I was just like, who's where, what? All these big classes. It was hot as you know what, and I was like, what did I get myself into? My family wasn't there. They weren't coming to every match. They weren't coming to every game like they had been in my whole entire life. So yeah, I was just kind of thrown into the fire, and I just thought I'd be fine. And you get there and you're like, what is this? What is 2-a-days? What is training? Like all of these things. Yeah. So again, but fortunate that my coaching staff had been there together, obviously, for a long time, a lot of tradition, and the upperclassmen, the teammates, they show you the way. They you either kind of follow and you jump on. When I was playing, you either followed and you jumped on, or you were going to get left behind, or there really wasn't much room for you. And honestly, I can't say that. I think we had a few players that stopped playing volleyball, but I can't say that anyone ever transferred when I was there in my 4 years. And again, like you said, it just wasn't really heard of back then.
It's hard.
School, and yeah, it was harder to transfer.
You had to go down a division if you were, unless you had to sit out a year, and
and so it was different. You had to figure it out. If you wanted to play and you wanted to be successful, you had to figure out what it took. So I really appreciated those lessons. And that adversity, and boohoo, I was sitting on a Big 12 bench, going to the NCAA tournament, so my life wasn't that rough. I still got all those great experiences leading up to, when it was my turn to contribute, when they called on me and said, hey, we need you to point produce, we need you to score some points. So I actually transitioned into a different position, which helped me get some more playing time. And fortunate that they thought outside the box, fortunate that they gave me that look. Because I would not have been happy sitting on the bench for 4 years.
No, I switched events and track and indoors because I was kind of the opposite. My freshman and sophomore year, I was making all the Big Ten finals of the 400, and then we started recruiting a lot of very fast girls. So all of a sudden, I was like number 3 in my event, and so yeah, I ended up moving to a different event indoors so I could make some finals again, because both of my training partners were Olympians. It was like, okay, where does this leave me? But it's different, and I like it how but sometimes that is the thinking, okay, what other event can I do, what other position can I do? And I sometimes I wish that more athletes would. Yeah, you see it, for men in football, they want to be the wide receiver, they want to be the star. But what if you went and played defensive back? You might actually, that might be what you're best at.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot in our program, or the programs that I've been a part of, is owning your role. And there's two things, like as a coach, you got to be transparent about what that person's role is. And then you just got to be an all-star in your role. Like, we had a serving sub the last few years, and she was developing into a great little back row player. But at the moment, she was coming in and serving in pressure situations, and she won sets for us. She won matches for us, and she just owned her role. And she was just such a good just beacon of that specific thing. She wanted more, but she was going to own this specific thing that we could count on her for. And I think that's kind of a lost art, but I also think you have to be really transparent with athletes and really purposeful with how you're continuing to train them, even though they're not a starter or not in a role that they want to be in, so they can eventually get there. But also you got to just, and when you're coming, like me, I was just this, well, I'm good. I was all state. I was this, I was that. So many people recruited me. Yeah, well, all those people recruited the people that are there too. So you got to figure that stuff out. And so you got to figure out what that role is and what that purpose is, and own it and get after it if you want to play. I mean, it's a constant.
Yeah, my buddy Frank's a hockey player. It's tough being a college athlete where you're never not played. Yeah, you get there as a freshman. Yeah, then you either you get injured, you have people better than you. It's or if maybe you were going to start and you got injured and someone took your spot. It's a lot that can happen. But I'm glad that you stuck with it, because your junior and senior year, you were quite the player.
I ran with it and I was not looking back. When you know what it's like, kind of when someone's coming for you, you just have a different urgency, different set of things that you train with, and what you're doing from a film standpoint. I buckled down and got more invested in what I needed to do from a film side of things, and how I could stop opponents, or maybe I was a little bit more defensive, so I could play both sides of the ball. I was not going to not play. Like, it was important to me. So, I found a way. I was really fortunate that one of my assistant coaches put in a lot of time, to help me get there.
Okay. So this is my dumb volleyball question. So please bear with me here. So volleyball positions, you guys have your spot, but don't volleyball, or is it certain types of volleyball rotate?
Everybody rotates. So if you think of the volleyball court kind of like a tic-tac-toe board, almost, instead of, what is that, 9 spots, you're thinking about 6 spots. So everyone I was a middle, so I was always going to go into the middle of the court. But yeah, you had to rotate because you couldn't just stay in the front row for 6 rotations. So
okay, but you rotate front and back.
You rotate around. Okay. Yeah, and so if you're in left front, in order to play middle, you would just stand next to the person that was in the middle, that was really the left, and they could switch and go to the left as soon as the ball was live. When the ball was live, you could kind of do whatever you wanted within the rules. When the ball was dead, you had to go back to that specific spot on the court and start there, and then you could rotate around depending on what position you were.
Okay, so
that's why you see it, like the girls standing at the net. The 3 of them are standing at the net together because they're going to whatever spot on the net that they play.
Oh, okay. And then when you sub out, you can't jump back in, correct?
You can go back in, only a certain, like, international rules and college rules are a little bit different.
Okay,
you can go back in, but you can only go in and out a certain amount of times per team. So like, I didn't play in the back row in college, so someone would sub in for me in the back row and play 3 rotations, and then when it was their turn to go to the front row, I'd come back in and play in the front row, play 3 rotations. So like the subbing of basketball, but there's a specific area that you have to start on.
Okay, got it. That makes more sense to me, because I'm like, okay, you're outside hitter, but don't you have to move around? Okay, okay, and what is the international rule for the substitution? Is it more strict?
Yeah, internationally you don't get as many subs. You only get 6 subs total, where collegiately you get 15. So it's way more. So internationally you see a lot more players playing all 6 rotations. So you have to learn to pass, attack, defend, all of those things. So really, the libero goes in and out for the middles mostly. And if a player's not playing very well, maybe they'll come out and someone else will come in, but they don't use a ton of subs like we do collegiately.
Okay. Yeah, that was my volleyball question.
Yeah, it's confusing, and for younger players, you see that a lot too. And they're trying to line up across. You're opposite of somebody, so you're trying to make sure you stay opposite of them, so you're not obviously in the front row at the same time, because then that's illegal. You're out of rotation, point other team. So they definitely have become more and more creative. That's for sure too. As the years have gone on, the rules have changed as well.
Okay. So that's how you can be an outside hitter and still have. Okay, you just got it. Yep. That was that one. I was like, I should have researched this, but I was like, well, I have an expert on here. I'm gonna ask her. And then my other dumb volleyball question is, how do your fingers not constantly get jammed? I mean, how do you not?
You shouldn't be blocking with your fingers. So we actually had a player today that went up and blocked, and the ball kind of went off her pinky and got her pretty good. So it was a little gnarly. But you're just trying to put yourself in a position where you're actually getting the palm of your hand to get on the ball. And again, now players are way more physical, way bigger, so they're up over the nets, and can get their hands on the ball a little bit more. But yeah, you get some good. I have a middle finger that's a little fatter than all the rest of them from a few of those things. So.
I bet. Yeah, because I'm thinking, trying to block, like jumping up to control your hands so you're hitting here, not here. First of all, you have to be super tall. You have to have some amazing hops.
Yeah, so really, if you're thinking about my hand as a net, you're trying to get your hand over the net before the
And
player on
coming
the
that,
opposite side
okay, coming
hits the
overhead.
ball over
Okay.
the net. So you're trying to kind of be an extension of the net at a 45-degree angle. But yeah, if you're straight up and down, you can get some good defensively. Sometimes you can get some good balls that whip through there and get you. But
Yeah.
what would sports be without a few of those injuries and damn fingers and strawberries on your knees, you know?
True story. Oh yeah, on that hard surface, man. I love it. So, after your playing career, did you always know you wanted to be a coach, or was this something that kind of came in as you're going?
I mean, to be super transparent, I went to school for volleyball. So like when volleyball's coming to an end, I was like, what am I going to do here? What's my career going to be?
Volleyball.
Yeah, right. Fun fact, I was a horticulture major at A&M. We have a really, really good agriculture
Nice,
school down
nice.
there. So I love tinkering and dinking around with plants and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. Now it's kind of a hobby. But yeah, my mom was a teacher. My dad was a counselor for the state of Michigan. So kind of teaching and education just came really natural for me. I always worked camps and coached club and summer camps, to make extra money. So it felt very easy and very natural. And yeah, fortunately got hooked up with my assistant coach, who's now the head coach at Rice. Was like, hey, so-and-so's looking for, an assistant coach. You should look into that. And, so kind of started down that pathway, and then was fortunate enough to keep great relationships with people that recruited me that maybe I didn't go to their college, but now getting in the coaching ranks, they had remembered me from a player. So got to be in the room with some of those coaches and learning from them and kind of start snaking my way up the ladder.
Absolutely. And you started at UTSA, or did you start at
I was
Arkansas?
at a small Division III school in Round Rock, Texas, outside of Austin, and then jumped to
Okay.
UTSA. Found out Division III just wasn't quite for me. Again, I was on the athletic side of student athlete, and Division III is definitely more on the student side of
Yeah.
student athlete. So good, bad, or indifferent, just, my personality, that was a little tough right out of college.
Same. Yeah, I went to college to run track. I am the
Yeah,
same. Yeah.
and as a just graduated, that was tough for me to kind of handle and manage and understand that. I mean, older me now like gets it a little bit more, but yeah. So then I was at UTSA for 2 years, was able to coach under the head coach, Laura Groff, who just retired, and then got asked to go to Arkansas after 2 years, and spent a good stint there, really learning the game, I would say. Everything that I thought I knew about volleyball really got challenged when I was at Arkansas. My boss was very passionate and very demanding, and really challenged me to grow as a person, as a coach, as a leader. I became a mom there and had to deal with mom and coach life there, and how to manage my time and stay organized and, kind of figure those things out. But we kind of were able to build that program up, and being able to do that is, I think, just really invaluable as a coach, and I'm really, really grateful for my time at Arkansas.
And when you say, learning the game, what was the biggest challenge for you going over to the coaching side? Was it like learning positions you didn't know, or just learning to think about the game in a different way?
Yeah, I would say learning how to break the game down. As a player, you're like, okay, they're telling me to stop number 8. I just got to stop number 8. Well, how are you going to stop number 8? How are you going to explain to somebody else how to stop number 8? How are you going to put together a defensive scheme or a game plan to slow down their offense? What do we need to do? On the flip side of that, I was a middle. I could train middles, and I was a middle coach. Well, when you're coaching, you got to evolve and be able to start training other positions. Well, I didn't play this position, so I got to watch more film. I got to talk to more coaches. I got to figure out how to break it down and teach it. So just learning those side of things, really learning what a recruiting plan looked like. Everyone can be like, oh, she's one of the best players in the nation. Yeah, the best player in the nation is only going to go to one school. So who else is going to come to your school? How are you going to get this kid? And okay, we have this kid, and she can do this, and she complements this kid like this. And so you just start, kind of laying out this map of where we want to be and where we want to go, and who's going to help us get there, who wants to help us get there. And you're terrible, we don't want to come there. Okay, but we're selling you on this. This is what we have. Just come
Yeah.
visit. So you just have all those hurdles that you have to jump over, and you just got to have tough skin, and you just got to keep grinding.
Man, yeah, I can't imagine recruiting people. That is just, being on the other side of it, it's so much. So I can't imagine when you're like, how do you start local? Like, where does your mind even go when
Yeah, I
you're
think
trying
it
to
depends on
just,
the school. At Arkansas,
yeah,
we have local volleyball, but for an SEC, level, that
hmm
was, we maybe had 2 or 3 kids a year coming out, and some of them didn't want to stay. I
yeah.
didn't want to stay in Michigan. I wanted
I
to
didn't, I
go.
didn't want to
So
stay either.
you can't really talk kids into staying. They either want
No.
to be there or they don't. So you had to kind of think outside the box a little bit more. Whereas when at Bradley, the next stop, my first head coaching stint, we were smack dab in the middle of the state. We could get to so many different places within 5 hours.
hmm
And there it was just a little bit more rebranding and letting people know who we were.
hmm
Everyone knew who Arkansas was, but we had to kind of build up our style of Arkansas volleyball.
Right. hmm
People didn't really know who Bradley was, so it was like,
hmm
I was in Chicago and people were like, "Are you guys D1?" And it's like, "Oh Lord, you're 2.5 hours from us." Yes, like
Yes, we
yeah,
are.
you had to kind of
Thanks.
figure that stuff out, and you had those nuances and those growing pains of that. But the sheer volume of kids that you could see on a
hmm
weekend or in your area was amazing. So
Okay.
it was more helpful recruiting
hmm
because you could kind of pull from a few hours of each direction and have really great volleyball. Um, now in Texas and San Antonio, you can really get Texas kids because everyone wants Texas kids. They're just great athletes, great
Yeah.
sports. A lot of people want to be here.
A lot to
So it's a
choose
little
from.
bit of a blend of trying to keep some of those local kids local, but also San Antonio is a destination. So hey, come
hmm
on down to San Antonio. Come down to the nicer weather. Look at the Riverwalk. Look at
Oh,
all the things we
yeah.
got going. So you can play off both of those things. I think that's why it's so
hmm
exciting. But yeah, just trying to find your niche and what that
hmm
is, and really owning it and holding fast to it, because you're going to get told no a lot.
Yeah,
And that can really be daunting, I think, sometimes.
absolutely. Yeah. I've actually never been to San Antonio, but
Come
everyone
on
says
down,
how awesome.
girl.
I
Come
know
on
my
down.
parents are like, it's love. Well, now I know you. So
Yeah,
we have to come during a volleyball season
for
and
sure.
come
For
see
sure.
some games. Yeah. And it's interesting how you talk about like not knowing like the geographical part of the school, right? Like I thought University of Arkansas was flat. Like when I thought of Arkansas, I thought of flat. And then I went to go visit my coach in Fayetteville, and I was like driving there. I was in
So
Tulsa for
gorgeous.
work, and so I was driving there, and I was like, "Where am I?" But it's like it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It was so pretty. I told my parents they love to do road trips. I was like, "Do a road trip to Arkansas." They're like,
Yeah.
"Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, go to Northwest Arkansas. It's beautiful." I
It
had
is. I mean,
no
people just don't
idea.
really get it.
No.
It's crazy that we live in the United States and we have these stereotypes of different places and different things, and you don't know until you get there. Like, I
Yeah.
haven't really been out like in like the Northwest very much, so I have this like idea in my mind what it's like,
hmm
but I haven't really visited there. I haven't gone super northeast. And I have this idea that everything's like Martha's Vineyard, but it's not like that. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't
No.
know what you don't
Yeah.
know.
Mm,
So I think if you haven't been there, going and seeing it, and that was one of our sells, like just get to campus, like just
and
trust
I
us, just get to
mhm.
campus and look at our facilities and everything that we have, and all the stuff, and so you have to sell your school, sell you, sell some of those things. So I think that's the thing is, you don't want to be a used car salesman,
Right.
and it's not be personal, but you want to, find those kids that like this unique niche is what they're going to love and what they'll really like. So it's kind of a fine line, but just being authentic, building those relationships. Nowadays you have to do it a little quicker, so it can be a little bit
Yeah.
tougher.
Yeah.
That's tough for me. It's hard to vet kids and vet programs a little bit, but it's the name of the game, and you just gotta keep up with the Joneses, if you
Yeah,
will.
you adapt or
Yeah,
you're
left
old
behind.
news.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, for
absolutely.
sure. And nowadays with college athletics, if you're getting left behind, then you're going to be out, which is kind of a tough situation. You think about it that way, but just one day at a time, you get trying to do the right things, do right by the
Mhm.
kids, support them and take care of them, and really be I mean, I keep saying transparent, but being transparent with the department and the administrators and
Mhm.
all those things. I think the more they know, and the more they're on your page and what you're doing, the better it is.
Yeah, kids know when you're bullshitting them. You know what I mean?
I mean,
It's like
my personal kids do, so it's not like a college kid can't.
no, it's not. Everyone knows when you're like,
So,
because all it takes is one time for you to say something and just do the opposite, where you lose the trust of everyone, and then people start to you get a reputation, and you don't want that. Yeah. So
yeah.
let's talk about Bradley. That was your first head coaching job. How did that feel when you got that job?
Honestly, it was a mixed bag for me. My boss had got let go at Arkansas, so I had to find a job. Like I
Okay.
was finding a job. My husband was a head D3 coach for men's soccer in the area and assistant AD, had a great job. And but it was kind of in a little bit more rural Arkansas, so what we were going to do, we had 2 kids. We had to figure out, what are we going to do here? So, and honestly, it was the first time I had ever been like cut or fired. And I was like, what the heck is this emotion, this feeling? Like, you're an adult, suck it up. You got to do this, you got to do that. And you're like, I'm not good enough. Like, so you run through all those things and you think about that. So for me, it was a blessing. It was really tough, but it was a blessing, because thinking about that from a player side of things, thinking about that from recruiting, thinking about that from the kids that we train, is working through those emotions and what that feels like. So, I was on the hunt for a job. I needed a job. I needed to provide for my family. We had to figure that out. Volleyball brought us to Arkansas, and volleyball was going to get us, to the next step. Fortunately, my husband's super supportive, of that, and kind of where financially where that landed us. So kind of went on the interview the trail and just was like, who wants me? Who's gonna buy what I'm selling? Like, this is what I'm selling. This is what I can do. So landed at Bradley, and honestly, I had never heard of Bradley before. Before I was going through that process, but I knew the conference, and it was a really huge volleyball conference, really great at volleyball, Missouri State, Northern Illinois, Illinois State. So really great volleyball tradition. So I felt that I could recruit there. I felt like I could be successful there. It was, again, this gorgeous campus plopped down right in central Illinois, and we could get to all these different places. So once I kind of started doing my homework and about our athletic director and about where the program could be, and got in there, I just started getting to work. That was when we were at the bottom. We were at the bottom of the conference. The confidence level was low. There wasn't a high expectation for what we could do. So I had to come in and just try to figure it out. And fortunately, we had to do that in Arkansas. Fortunately, I knew what that was like as an assistant, going through those growing pains. And so I just tried to draw on those contacts, on the coaches, on people that I trusted to say, help me out here. Like, what do I do? How do I get this ship turned around? And what can I handle? What can I manage? What do I tackle first? It's getting kids in the gym, and we didn't have a ton of kids. And one year I brought in like 10 kids, like some transfers and some freshmen. It was too many kids, like too many new kids.
Like you said, put them together.
So it was like, learning from that. So it was a lot of learning experiences, because as an assistant, you can be like, oh, it's coach's decision. You can go talk to him, And then as a head coach, it's like, oh, they're coming to talk to me. I got to answer that. I got to put face to that. I got to say why we're doing this, or why we're not doing this, or why all those things are. So you put on, you're in the hot seat all the time. And for me, that was something that was a little bit different. And I'm not a great loser. I've been fortunate, to be on successful teams and to be very successful personally. So it was hard. It was, you swallow your pride fast, and you're trying to figure out how to stay positive. So it was a lot of just personal growth. Super fortunate that we had a sports psychologist there and she actually played volleyball. Being able to talk to her and lean on her on little things and small things, not only for players, but for myself, just my own mental sanity. Like, it's really not that hard. Like, this, I'm asking them to do this. Why can't they do it? And she's like, well, and so we will, kind of talk about some of those things, but just kind of staying after it. I believed in the product that I could put out. I believed in my coaching abilities, and, just trying to continue to tell myself that. And, as far as, I'm fortunate I have 2 boys, so I get to go home and do boy sports and boy things, and I don't have to coach them, and I don't have to know anything about their stuff. So
nice.
It was a good release. It was a good, away from work. And And, sports are important to my family because my husband, was an athlete too. So like
Yeah.
he understands and understood the time away or the recruiting or this and that. So I think that whole recipe got me to the success that we had at Bradley. And it was tough leaving. It was tough,
Yeah.
making that decision. We have a really, really good team right now.
You made the
Put
Sweet
together all
16,
of
correct?
this. Yeah, in the
Yeah.
postseason tournaments, so you put together all of these things, but I think that is part of coaching. That's part of growing. That's part of figuring out what's important to you. And we tell our athletes that all the time. We tell recruits that all the time. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's definitely, yeah. I mean, you went from the bottom and you took them to the top, and so, but as you say, it's a great volleyball conference, but it is still, it's there are higher conferences.
Yeah.
So it's like you just kind of go over and so now you're in. You guys are in Conference USA
We're in Conference
for
one more
another
year.
one more, and then you're going to the ACC.
We're going, it's American Athletic Conference, definitely bigger, stronger, faster. So we got to get bigger, stronger, faster.
And that's kind of such a cool thing, when I read that, because that's like, what a great time to come in. You have that year to all right, we're going to play one more year in the NCUSA, which is a great conference.
Yeah.
And then it's bam, that big time for the big boys, right? Time for the ACC.
Yeah, and it is exciting. It's exciting when you're new and you can tell recruits that, hey, we're changing conferences. We need your physicality. We need your volleyball. And, so you can lean on that. You can lean on, this is where we're going and this is why we need you. And, addressing some immediate needs and some of the vision that we have going forward. So I think that's really, really exciting. But UTSA in general is exciting. The school is only like 40 years old. Like we've only been, an institution, and the growth, we're at like 30 some odd thousand students right now, which is huge compared to when I was here the first time around. So, the growth and the excitement for the institution. We just hit a new rank in a research institution, which is better for the city. And when the city does better, then we do better. So you see all these hand in hand things happening. You're like, man, this is exciting. Like you want to be around it. You want to be a part of it. Our football program's only 10 years old and they just won a conference championship. You're like, man, success breeds success. When our athletes see that their athletes are doing that and that these athletes are doing that, like, it's just really, really exciting. And so when you get to make a move because you want to, not because you have to, it's really exciting.
Yeah, that is very true. And my such a jock, but literally I looked at, we get that old guidebook, right? The Princeton Review. And it was like, all right, what are the top jock schools? What are the top party schools? Like, yeah, I'm smart too, but I want to be around athletes, man. I want to be around other winning programs. I didn't want to go to a school where the sports were just kind of to the side and no one really cared I wanted to go to a school surrounded by not just a good program for my sport, but other sports, because you got the nice facilities. You have just the spirit, the pride. And so I totally understand that from, being recruited, that you want to go somewhere where there's a lot of winning happening on campus.
Yeah. And people are excited about UTSA right now. The city is excited about UTSA right now. The new buildings that are going up. We have a brand new student athlete development and success facility. We're building new facilities for track and soccer. We're getting a basketball and volleyball practice facility. It's like, okay, let's have more tools. Let's get after this. Let's do this. So in recruiting, that's important. It's not just come to my school and I'm going to pay for your school. What do you have? What brand are you? Are you Nike? Are you Adidas? Are you Under Armour? Like, certain athletes care about certain things, and I want to be able to showcase those things to them. So I think that's one of the most exciting things is the growth, the movement, the buzz and excitement. And, it's exciting. San Antonio is a city that's exciting, and we're the only Division I institution here. So it's exciting.
Fair. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you are the only one in that. I mean, you got me excited about it. So about to be a real. Do you need a 37-year-old,
They may-
5'4" woman that has
I'm
never
trying to
played
get Dover.
volleyball?
I'm trying to get a Dover. You know what it's like. You don't have to travel. You can travel around with us.
Hell yeah, I love it. I'll be your number one cheerleader. Oh, that is. But yeah, I mean, I can hear it in your voice, right? Because like you said, you didn't have to leave, and so when that opportunity comes up, sometimes you just got to grab the bull by the horns and go for it.
It's crazy too, because I mean, my athletic director, Dr. Reynolds, at Bradley, I mean, I think he's a who's who in athletics. I mean, he's a big time basketball player. He's on the NCAA basketball committee, super supportive of volleyball. He came in like 9 months before me, so we were like new together, and we were going to take all the stuff together. And so I was really fortunate that he was my first boss, that he could help build me up to all of these new things and all these things that I hadn't gone through. But the one thing that he always told me is, you got to go where your heart is. Like, you got to go where you can get it done. You got to go where you can take care of your family, and he constantly told me, I'm a Carol fan. Like, I'm not just a fan of you being a volleyball coach here for me and for what it does for me. Like, I'm your fan. And so I had the support to be able to look and talk to institutions and continue to think about bettering my career. And he knew that was important to me. And he supported me. So it certainly didn't make it easy to leave, but his advice and where he's been and the coaches he's been around and the different departments and things like that, Jeff definitely was helpful in trying to figure out this move and what's best for our family.
Absolutely.
A lot of times people make moves for the job, and I got to make this for the job and for my family.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It was definitely a win-win.
Absolutely.
And fun fact, I was trying to figure out how to get into the mix at UTSA. I was like, oh man, my husband and I got married down here. This is a place for us. And the job came open, and I was like, man, how do I get in the mix? I don't know their administration. It's different than when I was there. And I'm trying to figure out how to get in the mix, And finally, my basketball coach, that's now the head coach at Texas, was like, send your resume. Just email them and tell them you're interested. And I was like, okay, Coach Schaefer, I'll send them my resume. And I email our senior women's administrator here, Christine Moeller. And literally within like 3 minutes, she called me and she's like, have you not been getting my messages? And I was like, excuse me? I was like, I left you 2 messages. We've been wanting to talk to you. I thought you weren't interested. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like trying not to have a panic attack. I'm like, I am interested. I'm very interested. I would like to talk to you guys.
I'm so interested. Thanks.
For the job, and it's a running joke now that I was just, kind of like, just shoving them off. And then all of a sudden I'm like, yes, I am interested. Please hire me, please.
Were they in your like spam box, or did they have the wrong number? Or
voicemail, I don't know. I mean, unfortunately, not shout out to AT&T. Like, they're killing me lately. And I just didn't get the voicemail when I got it like a day later. And then like after I talked to her, it like popped up, somehow.
Okay, so you eventually got it.
I did, and she had called my office, and I never answer my office phone, so I was like, that's totally on me. But the cell phone, I don't know. So I hang up and say, yes, I'll talk whenever you want to the committee. And I called my husband, and I was like, funny thing here, they were trying to call me and get a hold of me, and I wasn't returning their calls. He's like, are you serious? And I was like, sorry.
That's amazing.
So, and fortunately, I was able to come down on a visit, and they saw my vision, and here I am.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
And here you are by yourself. The husband and the kids are still in Illinois.
My husband just texted me earlier and said, another snow day tomorrow. I was like, you can make it to March 20th. You can make it to March 20th. You can do it. 4 more weeks. You can do it. And he's like, no. So
nice.
Yeah, so my husband and 2 boys are still in Illinois, finishing out school, and fortunately we were able to sell our house there and found an awesome house here, and
nice.
We'll make that transition next month. But it's been, I'm missing my babies. So
yeah, how old are the boys now?
First and third grade.
Oh,
so
okay.
Old enough to. My oldest doesn't really remember our move from Arkansas to Illinois.
Okay.
He says he does, but I'm not sure that he does.
Yeah.
But they're ready. They're outdoors like us and love the lifestyle that we can have in Texas. That's a little bit different than Illinois, and excited just to be around, so many things, and for them to have, a little bit bigger opportunities in the sports world as
Yeah,
they
I mean,
just be little athletes. So
to have a mom at a big time school, a soon to be ACC coach,
yes,
it's gonna be badass. And is your husband still coaching?
he is worked for a soccer club up in
Okay.
Peoria. So now on the hunt for some jobs down here, and has some good feelers out there. And they're big soccer fit players like their dad. My husband played soccer
Mhm.
at Syracuse.
Oh,
Um,
Syracuse. I was just about to ask where he play
yes,
at
he was a
A&M.
Syracuse player. Nope, he played at Syracuse to, I think, 99 to 2003.
Okay.
So yeah, they have been on the soccer field since they could crawl. With him
Yeah,
and so yeah, they'll be down here, and just kind of any and every sport we throw them into and see what sticks and what they like, and we just kind of run with
absolutely.
it. Um, they definitely love soccer, which is really fun. That he's
Yeah,
involved in that, and you can
absolutely.
see that. And I know nothing about soccer. I just show up with the food and water and just chill and hope that they play hard. I mean,
Right. Yeah. No, it's you don't
uh,
need to know. Yeah. So
nope.
he has no right to, he can't complain about the snow because is he from New York?
He is from Philly, so
Oh, he's
yeah,
from
he's used to the weather for
Philly.
sure.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, we actually met when we were at Southwestern University, and he got the Texas bug too, and we were like, man, we really like Texas. And again, he was able to coach. He was the head coach at a D3 school.
Mm-hmm.
When we were in Arkansas for 3 years, he was the assistant coach and a head coach. Yeah, so he to be really transparent, he's really the coach of the family. He's
Yeah.
really, really, really good at coaching, explaining, and being super patient. He's really, really high energy. He refuses to leave men's soccer. That's his only
Mm-hmm.
downfall. He wants to stay with men's, and it's just not as much opportunity in college, and those
Mm-hmm.
type things. But yeah, he was. I mean, coach of the year, assistant AD at a Division III school. I mean,
Nice.
he's definitely worn lots of hats, and grateful that our boys have grown up in an athletic environment around
Mm-hmm.
athletes, and having different role models that they can be around and learn from. Super, super lucky from that side of things.
That's awesome. I actually lived in Syracuse for 1 year after college because my mom is from upstate New York.
Nice.
Yeah.
Talk about
And
cool.
there was 120 inches of snow that year. It was not abnormal. And because
Yeah.
I was like, being in Pennsylvania, playing a spring sport, it's hard to transition to life after that. And so I was like, oh, let's, go to New York, see it. And I was like, I'm going back to the Midwest. So I moved to Chicago to get better winters,
And this
which is,
shit's much better there.
it's a lot better than Syracuse, New York. Have you been to
In
Syracuse,
Peoria,
New
we didn't get
York?
as much. We didn't get as much snow. Like, it was cold, like Illinois cold, but
Yeah.
like just not as much snow as Chicago, or
Down
wind. Woo, the
downtown
wind.
Chicago doesn't get as much, but I live right on the lake, so that wind comes to
Hmm.
me. All right, so my
Man, that
buddy
wind.
Frank has a question, but I already
Yeah.
know the answer. So on the guys chat, we had a former Chicago move to Texas. So I'll ask the same question: better food, Texas or must be Chicago pizza? I know
I
my
mean,
answer.
I'm like a Texas taco person,
Oh, you're
24/7.
Texas taco.
Yeah, like Tex-Mex. Like I could have Tex-Mex for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and totally be okay. There's like so many different varieties of it. You can have a tortilla fried, you can have a tortilla
Mm-hmm.
plain, you can have a tortilla with veggies, you can have a tortilla with any kind of meat. Like, I mean, Tex-Mex is my jam. I will say I always get outvoted and outruled in my family because they have pizza like once a week from any different sort of pizzeria.
Yeah,
So I think that's something that they will miss. But me, I mean, Tex-Mex all the way.
I personally hate deep dish pizza. I don't like it from Michigan. I don't know what this stuff is.
Yeah.
I love Texas barbecue.
Yes. No, we do have
Yes,
some
yes, the
really, really
barbecue,
good.
the best barbecue. I've only been to Dallas, so I haven't been to all of Texas, but the
There's a
best
there's
barbecue
a
I've
place.
had.
Rudy's is a place that's local to San Antonio that was founded down here, and it's like the pepper rub. They kind of have like their own signature kind of
Hmm.
barbecue. There's a place in Austin called Salt Lake that is hands down some of the best barbecue that I've ever had in my life. It's so good. Definitely a staple. There's so much different barbecue in Texas, and there's kind of a little bit of everything depending on which region you're in. You know how they have like the Carolinas have like this specific like vinegar based stuff.
Yeah.
Like you can get some of that in little different regions down here. So I am a huge barbecue fan. I'm a huge brisket fan. My goal is to get one of those like smokers and try to figure out how to smoke some meat now that I'm here and can like be outdoors actually doing that stuff.
Yes.
So
Oh
I,
man.
I, I definitely am a meat lover, and I love barbecue, and I love any type of kind of anything that I can try. But the barbecue down here is definitely on point.
Yeah, no, sorry, Detroit when we don't like your Chicago pizza. Yeah, no,
Regular hand tossed pizza here. No
thank
flat,
you.
no like thin crust, no deep dish, just a regular old
Just give me a
pizza.
regular pizza. Well, you're in the right state for liking meat. And yeah,
Seriously,
yeah,
seriously.
oh yeah, I can go barbecue. I'll tell you, rib tips are the best in Kansas City, hands down. Been there for
For
like
sure.
work,
I'll take
had
that.
their
I'll
best.
take that.
But brisket in Texas, and
Yeah, it's definitely
people have
worth.
been
It's
telling me about
definitely
some
worth it.
places that are like you have to like wait, you have to like drive 2 hours outside of a city to go get it. You got to wait. They only serve it on XYZ days, and people will like line
There's a
up.
place called Cooper's, and my husband and I used to go there. It's in Llano, Texas. It's like in the hill country, so in between Austin and San Antonio. It's called the Hill Country, and it's just kind of rolling greens and not as flat. Like there actually is some depth to the earth.
Okay, yeah.
So there's a place. It's called Cooper's Barbecue, and it's like you want a pound, you want a half a pound, and they just chuck it on your platter, and it's so good. It's so good. Yes, ribs too. How can I
Yeah,
forget about ribs and
I
sausage? Like,
know.
but they
Yeah,
definitely got it all down here.
I think if you have I think it's just really get a good smoker and follow instructions.
For
Watch some
sure.
YouTube videos.
My friend in Houston had one, and it was like overnight. He like left. I'm like, you left your grill on overnight? That kind of makes me anxious. He's like, that's what you gotta do. You gotta, it's like 24 hours. I was like, okay.
Yeah, but it'll be outside. It's not. I know. I get nervous like turning the crock pot on and like running an errand, but that's like what it's there for. But I'm like,
But then you like showed the before and after. And it was like, okay, definitely worth it. Like definitely worth the grill.
Yeah. I think it's really, crazy people still. I got a buddy that's still grilling out in Chicago now, man. The grill people will never not grill. It's he also works for Weber's Grills.
That's
so
true.
he's like, you know, he's use the Weber.
He knows what he's doing though. So
yeah, exactly. Oh man.
As horrible as it sounds, I need like the gas grill that I can turn on and go, because like I don't plan for the charcoal and getting the charcoal and the smokestack thing and doing all that stuff that my husband does. That's his jam. I know it's better. I know the charcoal and the wood and all that stuff is better, but as crazy and busy as I am, I need to just be able to pop it on and get those awesome grill marks on it. So
absolutely. I mean, charcoal is illegal to have in a building in Chicago. You can't have charcoal on your balcony. That's a fire hazard. What am I doing with these little coals? I'll just toss them down the fire.
The balcony.
Nothing will happen. There's nothing that can possibly go wrong.
Oh my gosh. That's
so I have a couple final questions for you. One is, let's just say hypothetical. It's not hypothetical. You have someone that was a college athlete in a different sport, maybe track and field, is now a high school volleyball coach, is small town. If she wants to grow as a volleyball coach, maybe look at smaller D3 schools, smaller schools, like what is your advice to give to someone that's coaching at a high school level that wants to kind of move up in the ranks, that didn't play that sport in college, but did a different sport?
I think the biggest thing is learning the game. So watching volleyball, like fortunate in your area, you can see Big Ten volleyball. Obviously, like that's the best of the best. I believe that's some of the best of the best in the volleyball world right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But going to the D3 games, there's volleyball all the time. I mean, European leagues are happening, all that stuff. You can find so much stuff online now. So really trying to delve into the game of volleyball. What is it? What are rotations? How do I do this? How do I set someone apart? How do I utilize this? How are they breaking down the skill of attacking? How are they breaking down the skill of passing? So there's with the internet and everything that they have out there right now, you can follow certain social media accounts of, youth volleyball leagues and things like that. But I also think the best thing to do is get into a club. What volleyball club is in your area? How can you get in and get more coaching experience, learn from more coaches, learn from that club director, and vet what that volleyball club looks like. Is it a big, huge one that has a lot of teams that you can watch and grow? Is it just like a small one and maybe you're not going to grow as much? So you got to find the right thing for you. And I definitely think time, you got to put in that time to really learning and trying to figure that out. But I know like Art of Coaching is a volleyball website that a whole bunch of former collegiate coaches and volleyball coaches are running, and they have drills and videos from current college coaches and ex-college coaches and club level to collegiate level, and those resources of just learning the game. And one, you're learning by watching, two, you're learning by teaching it, and then you just find mentors and people that want to help you and just be a sponge.
Call me out, Sherry. What, Dr. Krista Clemson? It was just a hypothetical question. That's one of my college best friends, one of the best discus thrower ever at Penn State. But she loves volleyball and she loves learning. And are there like coaching camps that people go to for like certifications and stuff? Like, I mean, I'm sure that
volleyball is not as big as a certification as a track or a soccer and things like that. So you don't do a lot of. There are coaching clinics. There's always coaching clinics in the area that you're going and doing that. I think Art of Coaching, and there may be more than just that one, but that's the one that I know the most about. It's like $100 for the year, and you can get on and you have all their tools and videos and YouTube stuff. And then once you get in there, it's kind of like a rabbit hole. You see this, and you kind of get onto this web page, and you get onto this. And so I think that's a really great place to start. And then the local clubs, are you having a coaching clinic? The convention, they have a fall and spring convention every year. And I think that's maybe a little much if you're really, really a new beginner, because it's such high level volleyball, and a lot of stuff that they're training and teaching there is more experienced high school and college coaches. But eventually that's something that you can check out, is going to the Final Four and going to a convention and getting in there, talking to coaches, finding resources, and just talking to people. So I think the biggest thing is reaching out to 3 or 4 of those local collegiate programs. Hey, can I come watch practice? Can I get in your gym? You need a volunteer. I don't know much, but you can teach me how to do stats. You can teach me this. I'll watch video and break it down if you can, show me how to use the program, or, whatever those things are. I mean, especially some of those smaller programs, they're always looking for people to help. They need people to help and want people to help. So maybe it's just catching and handing balls, in practice, and you're not giving any feedback, but you're just listening and absorbing stuff. I think that's a great thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the Art of Coaching is fantastic. She's been to 2 of our conventions. It's awesome.
Yes.
Art of Coaching. I learn something new every day.
It's got tools. I mean, I have a membership to it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like, okay, they're really not understanding what I'm telling them passing. Like, I think it's so transparent. It's so easy. You get on there and another coach says this or says that or shows them a different way or breaks it down a different way. It's not really who came up with it. It's just how you're getting it across to your athletes. It doesn't have to be my way or my teaching and my verbiage. It's just how are they relating to that? How do I get them to do it consistently so that we can have the results that we need? Beg, borrow, and steal. Like, that's the Art of Coaching. That's what it is. It's other people showing you, the video demonstrations and all of these things, and you're getting to listen to them. You see it, then you can rewatch it again and really kind of see what it looks like. Trying it. I mean, I think that's a big thing too, is you trying to do it. Oh, this is harder than it looks. I can tell you, but I can't do it. I really had to try to do some setting things and really learn that over the last few years, because I'm not a setter. It was hard for me. If I'm trying to teach a setter flow, and I want someone to toss a ball to me, and I'm like, it's so easy. You just put your hands up and flow. No, it's not. It's not. It's hard. So how do I break that down? What does that look like? What should it feel like? I need to talk to other people that I know were setters and setter coaches. What do they do? Why do they do it? what are they telling them, slow-mo it on the video, whatever that may be. But yeah, definitely the visual stuff is super nice with the Art of Coaching, and it's really affordable. But they do have coaching clinics that go around the United States. They stop at different universities and colleges, and they'll use the college team to do demos and things like that. So it's really nice.
Nice. Well, thank you for that advice.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, you got a nice little volleyball resource. And so my next question, you talked about at your previous stop, working with that sports psychologist. What does Carol do for herself as a head volleyball coach to stay sane and to stay cool, calm, and collected?
It's a loaded question right there.
I know. You're like, I'm not saying right now. But.
I think, yeah, right. My younger self, it was hard. I mean, I think that was the hardest thing, because you had just got done doing it, and if I did it, you can do it. You give those examples. Well, this is what you do. I did it, or and I just don't think that's relatable. So for me, it was what worked when I was a player, what didn't work when I was a player, and I also think for me it was finding out what my personality was and how they perceived it and how I needed to portray it. I am a dominant personality. Like, it's black and white for me. It's really easy. If it's one block up, I want you to get into the hole, and I just want you to just have some guts and dig. Well, that's not everyone's personality. Like, they need to see it, they need to rep it, they need to implement, or they need to see it in film. So for me, I think staying calm, cool, and collective is just being a learner, learning about my athletes and learning what makes them tick, so that when I'm in those moments where I feel like, what in the actual is going on right now? I'm like, all right, she's analytical. I got to throw some numbers at her. I got to tell her, like, they're going from our stat system. They're going out there 25% of the time. Like, that's what they've been doing all match. You got to put a stop to this specific thing, or they're not analytical. And you just got to keep pumping them up or make them laugh, or, whatever that may be. So for me, it's just being a learner of my players, understanding that volleyball is literally not the only thing in the world. It's not life or death decisions. It's a game. Some people are just going to outplay you. Well, I got to put the best product out there. I got to be able to make coaching adjustments. So, what keeps my staff keeps me calm down, to tell you the truth. I really, really trust, my staff. I ask them, or rely on them in those situations. Like, hey, when you see me starting to, kind of get that tick, I need you to be like, hey, I'm going to take this time out, or, hey, I'm going to jump in time out and talk about this. You look at some stats or whatever and calm down, or whatever that may be. So it's getting just building those relationships and getting to know each other, so we can be in those moments. But honestly, as a coach, I think age calms you down a little bit. You see more, you've been in more experiences, you've coached in more experiences, so you're like, all right, I just got to ride this out a little bit. Volleyball is a really emotional game, so if you get too high, then that crash can be super hard. But if you don't have enough, then it's like, hey, you got to get over that hump and have some emotion. Like, we got to get some stuff going here. We got to put them down a little bit. So it's a tough game, I think, to coach. And that's what people don't understand. My husband doesn't like to watch it. He doesn't like coming to our matches. It's too stressful.
Too stressful. I can see that. Yeah.
The 3-4 point swing, like, you're 4 points ahead, and you're like, all right, here we go. And then all of a sudden it's a side out and they get a point.
Yep.
They're within a point, and you're like, what the heck happened to our lead?
Yep.
I mean, and you very seldom see teams that are beating people like 25 to like 10. Like, it just doesn't happen a lot. It's just so much back and forth. So you just have to learn to manage the highs and lows, I think. And I think that comes with experience. It comes with, trusting that your players are going to, figure it out, trusting the film that you watched. All right, they made this adjustment, now we're going to make this adjustment. So being a little patient and having a little trust in some of those things. But it's an emotional roller coaster all the time. Like, when I'm done with the match, I'm like emotionally spent. People are going to go to dinner. No, I want to go to bed. Like, I need 2 bottles of water and I need to go to bed. Like, I'm dehydrated. I'm tired. I'm like, mentally, I can't think about anything. So I think, but it also is what makes it super fun. Those tight matches where it's, 14-14 in the 5th set, and the ball could bounce literally anybody's way, and you can win and lose. So.
Yeah, it's definitely an high intensity game. Yeah. And that's why, that's why volleyball games be packed at like Penn State, right? In our rec center. It is an exciting game to watch, especially in person. There's, that's probably one of the most exciting sports to watch in person, rather than on TV, right?
Correct,
It's just something about that atmosphere in a volleyball match is just like
and the atmosphere is
electric.
that's what makes it for the home team. Like, I just don't think people really understand how the atmosphere really helps you emotionally, because it's such an emotional sport. And when you're on that high and you got people behind you and you're feeling like you're invincible, like, yes, give me the ball again. Yes, give me the ball again.
Yeah.
And you get on that, like, that high of the crowd and the atmosphere.
And they're right there. These are smaller, they're super intimate.
Yeah, and you get those breaks, like when the rally stops, you kind of get those breaks, and you can you're getting them, they're pumping you up, and you can hear that stuff. You can kind of see some stuff coming and going. In basketball or some of the sports, you're just constantly going. You don't have time to like walk back to your spot and kind of glance out somewhere. You're constantly in it. As volleyball, you get to take a break, and you're like, let's do this. You can kind of come in, and you hear the crowd. Like, it's definitely, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, it's a great sport. So my final question for you: we just finished the Winter Olympics. So if you were to be in your imaginary world, if you were to be a Winter Olympic athlete, because there's no volleyball or basketball in the winter, which sport would you be doing?
Ooh, that is a tough question. What's the most competitive, like?
Well, the most physical would probably be hockey.
I know. You know what? That's actually a good one. I kind of forgot about hockey.
I kind of thought you were going to say
it would be hockey, because I was like, what's a team sport in the winters? I was trying to think of team sports in the winter.
Yeah.
Because I need the back and forth, and I need a team. Like the individual sports would have been really, really tough for me. I need the team. I need to draw energy and camaraderie from a team. And the physicality of hockey actually probably would be super fun. You're supposed to check people and kind of run into them physically. And our hockey teams for the United States are really awesome. So I think that would be great.
Yeah, I don't see you doing curling, even though that is a team sport. I don't.
So they actually have a curling bar up north in Michigan by, is it Glen Harbor area? There's a curling bar up there, and I heard it's awesome.
It probably is, especially a few drinks in.
Yeah, I heard it's really, really awesome. Well, some of my friends are telling me about that. They want to go next time they're up there for the summer. So I'll have to check that out and holler back at you. But I feel like that would be kind of a fun, like, it's kind of like bags. You're kind of
shuffleboard. Yeah, one of those.
You see those memes on social media, like, oh, look at these dads on the curling team.
That's exactly what I was thinking about when I.
But then again, there's skill to it. There's strategy.
Oh, of course.
They can totally
look. I would be out there and I would make a complete fool of myself.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I definitely.
I would want to say I want to be, Sean, whatever his name is, and doing the half pikes and all that stuff.
Right.
I'm too much of a baby for that. Like, I'd be like, this is high enough. I'm good.
Awesome. But yeah, I'll put you in the imaginary world USA hockey team.
For sure.
And that will
get checked, and I'd just be skating right after him, like, well, here I come.
Like you said, making the eye contact across the net, I would be terrified.
Yeah.
So I think you would do excellent in that imaginary sport.
For sure. It would be a fun one.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time and coming on and speaking it. Really enjoyed it. I am now a UTSA fan.
Yes.
Road Runners.
Go Birds. Birds up.
Birds up. And so, I really wish you a lot of success in this off season. I hope the recruiting goes great for you. And, you can tell your recruits to come watch this video, because I'll tell you.
We had it all over our social media. So
fantastic. Yeah.
We'll
like I said, you sold me. Like, honestly, I would have liked you as a coach. You had that personality, that fire that I was looking for.
If you can't have fun doing volleyball or your sport or whatever that sport is, I'm not sure why you're doing it. We have a saying, like, winning is fun, but winning is hard. Therefore, working hard is fun. Like, it goes hand in hand, and we're doing it all the time. And we were quite honestly, we were bad in the gym today. We were tired. We were a little sore. We were kind of starting to get into the bulk of team practices. And I was like, guys, we don't have to be so great, and so we're not going into a match today, but we can control two things, and that's how hard you're going to work. Maybe you're not jumping as high because you're sore, you're a little tired, you're trying to get in the gym. But you can control how hard you're going after the ball. You can control your voice. Your voice isn't tired. Your voice isn't broken. So it's just trying to find those things and continue to tell them over and over and over again. And once they learn those things, it becomes second nature. And like I said,
Absolutely.
I'm not having to make any life and death decisions. I'm just trying to figure out what drills are going to pump them up today. I'm trying to bring energy in the gym, trying to make them better
Exactly.
volleyball players. So I'm fortunate that's the case, and that can be fun and sarcastic and funny, and that's what it's supposed to be. That's what it's all about.
Exactly. And if, like you said, you might not jump as high today, track runners, it might not be your best day, you might not run as fast, but as long as you put in your best effort for that day, there really isn't anything else you can do.
Yeah.
And that is, as an athlete, you got to just think, did I do the best I could? Yes.
You're going to train that. You're going to be at you go to said meet and it's raining and you didn't think it was going to be raining. So you're going to be off. Well, you can either get flustered and be off, or you can figure out, okay, this is what happens when it rains. I've run in the rain a million times. And
most people run a little bit slower.
Yeah.
That's okay. Let me just not,
this is what I can control. This is what I can't control. I can't control the weather, but I can control, when I get around this turn, this is when I'm going to make my move, and I got to be watching out for this or that. Like, you kind of play those scenarios in your head and do some of that stuff. It's the same thing. I'm tired. I'm sore. I'm not going to be jumping as high, but I can control my ball hand contact. I can control this today. I'm going to be more purposeful about this. And, so I think it's just continuing to tell them that too, is that stuff's going to happen. You're going to make an awesome play and someone's going to make a better play. And then you're going to do it again. And you just got to keep going and doing it again and again and again. And if we get to that point in training, then when we're a match, then that's when it becomes really fun.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, thank you so much. You got me excited.
I'm excited. My first podcast, girl. You're my first podcast.
And you're my first volleyball one. Yes. So yay. Yeah, actually you're my first collegiate coach too. I got some on the schedule for next month, but you're the first. You're the first collegiate coach. So you will always be my first.
Thank you. So exciting.
Yeah. And so you have a great evening, and we'll definitely be in touch. And let me tell you,
Sherry. Have a great night.
I'll come down to San Antonio sometime.
That's right. We'll get you some brisket.
Hell yeah. Let's go get that brisket. All right. You have a good one.
Thanks. You too.
Bye. Oh, that was awesome. Got my dog poking me. I'm going to swing us on over to a quick commercial break and then get some of my final thoughts for the day. So I'll be right back.
Tranquility, Trey Bella. Alleviate the stress of your day. A fresh approach to nail care service at the top of the pampering scale. Awaken your senses with no chemical smells. Relax. We're at your service with professional, personalized treatments. Enjoy a manicure or pedicure tailored to you. Trey Bella Nail Spa. 10349 South Halsted in Chicago. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Trey Bella Nail Spa or book at TreyBellaNailSpa.com.
And back from commercial. Like I said, it's just me. I don't have anyone to chit chat with, but I can certainly tell you guys this year, I don't know about you, the Winter Olympics were a very weird vibe. Russia kind of ruined it for everyone, and we're not even talking about them invading Ukraine right now. But I don't know, something about that ice skating scandal really kind of put a damper, I think, on the mood for the whole Olympics, and then that whole overhyping, our skier who didn't do as well. And it's like, do we not learn from Simone Biles to just let athletes be and not shove a goddamn microphone in their face every time they don't perform to their highest ability? It was just, I don't know. It's fun to watch the Olympics, but sometimes some things just make me kind of turn. I don't like scandals. Just let the athletes be, let them do. So, another year, hopefully once we get out of, I don't think China hosting really helps. We might as well just have Russia host these things for going forward. But we made it through another Olympics. U.S., did some cool stuff. They had some disappointment, but COVID made everything weird. But what can you do? Back to the watching, I guess, basketball on TV before we starting to get into track season, guys. So there's some track meets on TV, and you guys know that is what I'll be watching. But that is really, that's it for today. I just want to definitely give a shout out to Coach Carol for taking the time and selling me on the UTSA women's volleyball program. I will be coming out of retirement to go play for her down there. But she has me excited. I want to check out their program. I want to check out their facilities. That is, I love seeing women do big things. I love seeing women with a family, with a supportive husband doing big things. You see it more the other way around of the wife following the husband places. It's nice to see a husband follow the wife places. It should happen more often. And so shout out to Carol and her family and the UTSA program. And really, besides that, shout out to the Chicago Clubhouse Podcast Network. Without them, I wouldn't be here. Shout out to D-Sun and the LEC Network. And really shout out to my ninja community, man. It's rough. It's tough, but we'll rebuild and we'll get through it. And hopefully my people will do well on American Ninja Warrior. You know what? My people are competing in the San Antonio City qualifier. Just thought about that. Okay, this must be a sign that they are going to kick ass and they are going to make the city finals, and hopefully a couple of them will make Vegas as well. So on that note, you guys have okay, my dog won't stop poking me. You guys have a great evening. And this has been She Said What She Said, the podcast.
This has been a Chicago Clubhouse Network production. We out!
Bye!